Hey folks, Ken here. How you doing? It's Sunday in Dublin. It's a breezy but warm enough type of day. I was actually at the BKKS show yesterday. Really enjoyed it. It was a long day, early start, 5 o'clock in the morning, flight out at 8. Spent the whole day there and then flew back yesterday evening. So I didn't do any video. There's lots of people will do a much better job than I do, but I did really enjoy it. Met a few people and had some some really stunning fish there. In terms of my own ponds, the white spot treatments, I was going to do 4 treatments. If the pond was over 18 degrees, I was told to do 4 of FMG. But the pond temperatures dropped below 18, so I'm just going to leave it at the 3. Talking to a few people, I think 3 is more than enough. As you see, it could do with a bit of a clean. It hasn't, so I've drained the water down. Fish is not enamoured, so I'm just going to do one big large water change. So I drain it down. I have my butt pump in there, and I just drain it down to the edge of the window, and then stick some sodium thiosulfate. I have it in the watering can there, and then have the hose in it just to fill up. It'll probably be around 9:30, 10 o'clock tonight before everything's up and running again. You can see there the wall in that pond. I've mentioned it before, where it is peeling. The more I look at that, the more I'm convinced it is the second. I mentioned before that when the pond was fiberglassed, this side of it got sun damaged and it had to be reflow coated. I don't think, now I'm pretty sure the fiberglasser, they did come back, there was no issues. I was pretty sure they ground it down, but looking at that, I'm not sure they did, and people will tell you flow coat doesn't stick to flow coat, and I think that's what's coming off. I mean, I was thinking because it's a hard water area, it might be just the calcium on the pond, but it's not happening anywhere else. These 2 walls are fine, and it's the wall at the window, it's happening a bit as well. You can see down there, as I say, this wall and the one at the window was all reflow coated. It's annoying, it's not the end of the world. I mean, the pond, there's still flow coat there, it's not compromising the water tightness of the pond, but yeah, I mean, it's probably going to peel off a bit more, and then there'll be algae there and I won't notice it. But at some stage in the future, that probably would have needed to be done anyway, and maybe reflow coat the pond, but that's a big job and moving out fish, and probably do the whole pond at that stage. But I'm not going to overly worry about it, but I put my money on it's the second coat of flow coat that's coming away. The white spot treatment, the fish don't appear to be flashing. As I say, I was watching the chag, he's down there more than any because he was most affected. Definitely, that sort of mucusy look he had with the hazy skin has gone away. The fish seeming good. Form, I haven't been feeding them. Bar the days I did the water change and treated. I'll start feeding them again today. Other thing I did, and just a quick one, I was talking about the anti or non-return valve, so I'll just turn off my air for a minute because it is noisy and need to spin drifter on. So I added this, so I took the centre out of that one, so that does nothing now, the water just flows straight through it, and I added this one. That's I think an Air Aqua one I got from the Netherlands and cost me nearly €80 shipped, which was bloody expensive. And as you can see, the flap in it, it's just a gate one or a flap one. However, it doesn't really work, and I'll show you why. So you can see there that it is in its closed position. However, if I open, I have this closed off at the minute for the back pump. If I open that, you can see it moving, and it does that constantly. And I think the reason is because it's below the water line. I'll just turn it off. There's pressure coming from the filter, there's pressure coming from the back part of the pond, and it's just constantly moving. So it's for the money that it cost, it's a bit annoying. It was easy enough to put in. It's just solvent welded in place there, but it does significantly slow down the top ponds draining, but it doesn't stop it. I did try, and that's the position if it's in horizontal. You turn it the other way around so the flap is facing up, if you like. Tried it in various positions, it makes no difference. It just seems to be that there's pressure coming from the filter. Once I close the filter off, that pulsing stops. So don't think there's much I can do about that, folks. Unfortunately, I'm out of ideas on it. The spring, I gotta stop this now. The spring non-return valve, it's just too restrictive and it puts a lot of back pressure on the pump. I didn't like it in the waterfall. Look crap, so I think I'm just gonna have to live with what's there, unfortunately. It's only an issue during the summer because I don't use the back part of the pond, but where I live, we're sort of a town on a peninsula, and power cuts are not uncommon, unfortunately. We've had 2 in the last couple of weeks. Now luckily I was around. Luckily I was around, and I was just able to go out and close it off. It wasn't the end of the world. But I'm just put in my sodium thiosulfate. Looking good. Leave the spin drift around it. There, I've enough thiosulfate, I think, for about 20,000 litres. It's not really possible unless you go completely bonkers to overdose sodium thiosulfate. You'll get it on Amazon, by the way. Just put it in. It's a Dechlorination, for those of you that don't know, and it's a very cheap and effective one. It does chlorine and chloramines. I'm just going to go over here and turn the tap on and get it topping up. As I say, it's going to be slow, but that doesn't. So it took about 40 minutes to drain the pond down that far. Just turn on this tap, and it'll be 10 o'clock tonight or so before I can turn the filters back on. Yeah, so the sodium thiosulfate, it is, you know, you can go in and you can buy your bottle of pond dechlorinator if you're doing water changes like this. I have the big blue for my trickle in, so that's fine, but it's just when I want to do something like this, or when I do my bi-week or every 2 weeks bottom drain and back, which I'll probably do during the week. You can see that's just the hoses in there. It's just going to trickle over like that for the rest of the day and the evening. It does. It doesn't look like a lot spread across that that spillway, but it does. You know, it will be up you know, sort of an inch every hour or so. So the sodium thiosulfate, I think it works out on Amazon for, I think, is it a kilo? It works out at about 11 or 12 pounds. So it's you know, and that would last for me for 6-8 months, if not more. But it's a very effective and cheap way of dechlorinating water, particularly when you're doing large volumes of it like this. When I do my bottom drain flush, this obviously drains down when I'm flushing the bottom drains, and I do a vac. I just use the back then to top this up, get the filter running again, and then stick the hose in the back for a few hours. So I'll use a small bit of sodium thiosulfate when I'm doing that. I've used a fair amount of it now doing this, and before I turn the filter on, I'll just double check and make sure there isn't a lot of chlorine in the water. There generally isn't. I think when I did this during the week, I got 3 parts per billion, which is 0.03 parts per million, which is, sorry, 0.003 parts per million, which is as near to 0 as you're going to get. So it does the job well. So listen, I'll leave it at that. As I say, I enjoyed the BKKS show very, very much. We'll definitely do it again next year. white spot treatment, hopefully it's worked. Going to top this up and stick the UV back on. I think I'll move that shade. It's okay in the morning, it gives the fish a bit of shade, but we haven't had much sun, and my blink camera was going off all night because the wind was moving this and the battery's gone in it. So I think I'll move that back a bit out of the line of the camera. I'll let you know how things are going. All the best. Cheers.